Close your eyes and let the night soften around you, like a quiet shore where every wave knows how to bow and fade. Here, in the tender hush between one breath and the next, we begin a simple journey through the Four Noble Truths, a lantern's path toward the end of suffering. You do not need to try, or fix, or chase anything at all, only rest, and allow the body to grow pleasantly heavy while the mind loosens its grip. Notice the gentle rise of the inhale, the soft fall of the exhale, and imagine each worry as foam that appears, glows for a moment, and dissolves. Tonight we name the ache without fear, look kindly at its cause, sense the open space that appears when clinging lets go, and step onto a calm, walkable road where every footprint is a breath. If your thoughts return, welcome them like birds that settle and lift again, and keep returning to this steady tide of in and out. Let the heart hear a promise. Peace is not far, it is already growing where you pause and feel. If this quiet pilgrimage speaks to you, let it cradle your sleep and renew your morning. And if you wish for more nights that guide you home to ease, follow and subscribe to Buddhism for Sleep, where each episode is a soft doorway back to enough, back to now, back to the gentle truth that you are safe to rest. Tonight, let the darkness be a velvet harbor and you its welcomed traveler, setting down the day like a heavy satchel and feeling the straps slip from your shoulders while the cool hush of evening greets your skin. There is nothing to achieve now, nothing to guard, nothing that needs your grip. The room can be as it is, the air as it is, your breathing as it is, a soft tide finding its rhythm. As you settle, notice how the bed lifts you with quiet loyalty, how the pillow receives the shape of your head, as if it has been practicing this embrace all day, and how your breath, faithful and unassuming, keeps arriving like a friend who knows the way home. Let the jaw release, the mouth barely open, the tongue easing from the roof of the mouth, the eyes smoothing beneath their lids like small lakes. Feel your forehead widen, your temples soften, your throat unbutton the collar of worry, and notice the shoulders melt downward, as if they remember a conversation with gravity from long ago, where they were promised that surrender is not defeat but the beginning of rest. Your arms lengthen into stillness, your hands uncurl like ferns, your chest is a calm bellows, drawing in the night and sending it back, and your belly rises and falls in a steady lullaby. In this gentle unraveling, invite your attention to sit beside you like a kindly companion, not to judge nor to measure, but only to witness how each sensation appears and dissolves. Each thought glows and dims, each feeling moves like weather across a sky that does not resist. And here, in this friendly, tender watching, we begin to meet what the sages called the Four Noble Truths, the simple, compassionate map through the landscape of human experience. We do not approach them as scholars, not as warriors, but as sleepers, learning how to dream less of struggle and more of ease. Imagine a lantern resting in your open palm, its light neither fierce nor weak, just enough to outline a path through a sleeping garden, dew on the grass, jasmine in the air. We will walk that path slowly, with the patience of the moon crossing the window, and each step will be a breath, in, step, out, step, in, step, out, step. When you breathe in, invite softness. When you breathe out, allow release. All the while, the world grows quiet enough that even your thoughts begin to speak in whispers, then in murmurs, and then in the kindly language of silence. Before we name anything, simply notice the echo of the day, the unfinished sentence, the half-remembered task, the face that rose in your mind without being asked. Watch them arrive like small boats. Watch them continue downstream. There is no need to climb aboard. You can wave from the bank and stay where you are, because here, your body is an anchored shore and your breath is the tide that keeps time. If a tension lingers in the brow, imagine a warm hand smoothing it. If a tightness pulls behind a heart, imagine a window they're opening to let a breeze slide through. If the legs hold a residual hum, as though they are still walking, imagine cool water around the calves, a stream that persuades them to be stones. The truth is that you have been brave today. The truth is that you tried. The truth is that trying can be set down like a coat at the door. In the gentle science of rest, we practice a kindness that does not need words. The body understands. The heart understands. The mind, even if it fidgets, begins to understand by imitation. See if you can lengthen the exhale by a thread's width, letting it flow out a moment longer than it flowed in. At the end of each out-breath, pause, not holding, just tasting the quiet at the bottom of the wave. Then let the next inhale arrive on its own, like a small bird returning to the branch. Imagine that each breath polishes the lantern glass so the path glows a little clearer. And in that glow, we are ready to meet the first truth, not as a heavy doctrine, but as a soft recognition. Sometimes the heart aches. Sometimes the mind storms. Sometimes the body tires. This is not a condemnation of life, but a permission to be honest, and honesty is restful. When we stop arguing with what already is, the muscles loosen their arguments too. You might notice how relief trickles into the spaces that truth opens. Even naming it quietly, there is some ache. Here can be enough to lower the temperature of your thoughts. And as you rest in the honesty of the moment, notice how the second truth waits in the wings, that the ache grows when we clench around it. That clinging is like a fist, and attention can be like an open palm. For tonight, however, we need not study cause and effect with tight brows. We only need to taste the difference between gripping and letting be. Try it with the next sensation you feel: a pulse in the ankle, a warmth in the palm, a memory flickering. Hold it tightly for a heartbeat with the mind. Then release it back into the room. Watch it join the night. The body will nod. The breath will reward you with an easier descent. Overhead, the sky gathers its stars with patient hands, and here below you gather your pieces into a single, simple presence. And as you rest, the third truth dawns not as a distant promise, but as a local sunrise. Peace visits when grasping loosens. Happiness is shy, but not rare. It likes to arrive when no one is chasing it. That is why sleep is such a trustworthy monk. It teaches us to receive without grasping, to be held without holding. With every exhale, let the idea of enoughness seep through you like warm tea through a cup. You are enough for tonight. The bed is enough. The breath is enough. Time is enough. Your life, even with its unfinished edges, is enough to be tender with. And so the fourth truth, the path, becomes not a road to march, but a rhythm to lean into. Each breath a step, each step a permission. Imagine a garden gate opening onto a path of soft earth. A line of lanterns marks the way, and the first is right here at your chest, its glow steady, guiding you inward. As you follow that glow, you pass small scenes of your day, like paintings hung at eye level. You smile at them, you keep walking. You pass a bench where your worries are resting. They choose to nap and let you move on. You pass a clear pool reflecting the moon. The surface trembles with each inhale and stills with each exhale. Here you stop to breathe with it. In, the circle widens. Out, the circle closes. In, the light deepens. Out, the night hums. The pool shows you that calm is not the absence of movement, but a friendship with it. You do not need to be blank to be at peace. You only need to be gentle. Gentleness is always an option, and tonight it is the only one required. Lower the shoulders another small notch. Let the back sink, vertebra by vertebra, like a stack of books carefully shelved. Let the hips grow heavy and innocent, the thighs smooth, the knees unhook, the shins and ankles content. Imagine your feet remembering the earth, remembering warm sand, remembering cool grass after rain, and they sigh. With each breath, murmur silently to the body, thank you for carrying me. And to the mind, thank you for trying to solve. You can rest now, I am here. As you whisper these permissions, the lantern light gathers around you, and the path you are on becomes very near, made of the next breath and nothing else. If thoughts return with a little clatter, lay a soft cloth over them the way one covers a birdcage at night. If a feeling rises, offer it a chair beside the bed and tell it does not need to speak. The room knows what to do with weather. The heart knows what to do with tides. Trust this quiet competence. You have not been abandoned. You are being held by gravity, by the mattress, by the rhythm of a planet turning, by the older wisdom in your cells. Imagine a candle at the center of your chest. With the in-breath, the flame straightens. With the out-breath, the light widens. It does not burn or demand. It is a companion. This candle beckons you to a simple practice. Count down from 5 with the breaths. 5 in, 5 out. 4 in, 4 out. 3 in, 3 out. 2 in, 2 out. 1 in, 1 out. Then pause and feel the hush that follows counting, as if the mind has laid down its abacus and smiled. Stay in that hush for a moment. If you like, begin again, or simply float. If a corner of you still expects difficulty, stroke that corner with compassion. Tell it that you can meet any wave when you are not convinced you must be the wave. Your identity tonight is larger and kinder than any passing thought. You are the sky, and the sky is content. You are the sea, and the sea is home. And if you sense the edges of sleep approaching like friendly shoreline, welcome them. Let the eyes grow heavier, the breaths longer, the limbs quieter. Even the listening can rest sounds dissolve into one soft tapestry. Even the remembering can rest tomorrow will retrieve what belongs to it. Even the hoping can rest peace is not a prize but a posture, and your body has found it. Somewhere a night bird calls and then pauses. Somewhere a distant light clicks off. Within you 1,000 small muscles read the signal and agree. Now is the time to loosen. Now is the time to be simple. Now is the time to be carried. You are already on the path, because the path is this breath, and this breath is a small act of love. Let it keep loving you as the minutes open like petals, as the mind grows drowsy and clear, as the heart hums its low, old song. In this song there is room for everything and also for sleep. Let the lantern rest on the bedside table. Its glow lingers behind your ribs. You do not need to think about the truths. They are thinking kindly about you. They are translating themselves into comfort, into trust, into the gentle command of a whole body settling. Drift as far as you like, and if you briefly surface, smile and drift again. The current knows the way. Your only task is to float. And as you float, know that you are safe, that you are enough, and that this is the first step of many soft steps toward a peace that does not depend on the world. Being perfect, but on your willingness to be tender with what is. For tonight, tenderness is victory. Rest inside it, and let sleep find you like a friend arriving softly at the door, letting itself in with a key you gave it long ago, and curling up nearby so you can breathe together until morning. Tonight we wander a little deeper into the quiet garden of understanding, and in this soft lamplight we will gently name the waves that visit the shore of the heart, not to resist them or drive them away, but to see them clearly and, by seeing them, to suffer less. This is the essence of the first noble truth, not a stern decree but a tender invitation to honesty, a warm hand on the shoulder that says, yes, life sometimes aches, and yes, it is all right to admit that. Breathe in like drawing a curtain of moonlight across the room. Breathe out like smoothing a blanket over your chest, and let us speak softly about the shapes suffering takes, as if we were describing clouds that drift and change, as if every feeling were allowed to pass without being trapped or judged. There is the familiar throb of physical unease, the stiffness of a long day, the way a shoulder complains or a temple murmurs, small signals that the body is mortal and earnest and sometimes tired. There is the subtler weather of the mind, the thin rain of worry that taps at the windows of thought, the sudden gusts of anxiety that rearrange the furniture of our attention, the fogs of doubt that blur the horizon. There is the quiet loneliness that visits even when we are not alone, the sense of standing at the edge of a large field and feeling the wind pass through without a name, a pang that arrives without permission and leaves without apology. There is the ache of change, too, the way something once fitting begins to pinch, the way a season we loved eases into another, and the heart resists, then yields, then resists. Again, there is the ache that comes from losing what we love, and the ache that comes from not yet reaching what we seek. There is the ache of impermanence itself, the delicate, unending unraveling of moments, each one dissolving as we try to hold it. And then there is the ache that blooms from clinging, the way we close around a wish or a fear, and in that tightening the pain multiplies, like a hand that cramps from gripping too long. Our task tonight is simple and kind, to bow to these realities with the smallest gesture of truth, to murmur yes. This too is here, as we relax a little more deeply into the bed that keeps us afloat like a gentle boat on a dark and friendly lake. Notice how the naming loosens the knot, how saying there is sadness here, there is tiredness here, there is restlessness here, turns the unknown into the known, and the known into something we can hold as lightly as a feather. The Buddha did not hide from this first truth. He held it up like a lantern so that those who walked behind could see their steps, and we do the same in our quiet, private way. Imagine yourself standing in a small hall lined with mirrors that are kinder than you expect, each reflecting not your faults but your wholeness. Even as they show the smudges you are ready to wipe away. One mirror shows the soreness of the body, and you breathe, and the soreness becomes a message rather than an enemy. Another mirror shows the churn of thoughts, and you breathe, and the churn slows to a steady wheel that you can step away from. Another shows the tender place where grief has nested, and you breathe, and grief becomes a bird you can cradle for a while without letting it peck at your hope. There is suffering, yes, but there is also the gentle space around it. And in this space, your breath keeps conducting its quiet symphony. In and out, rise and fall, day and night, trading places without argument. Think of the many shades of discomfort that life paints with, the dull grey of a routine that no longer nourishes, the sharp silver of sudden disappointment, the dusky purple of longing that stretches across months. the pale amber of nostalgia for a time that never was exactly how we remember. All of them are pigments the heart knows, and when we stop pretending they are not there, we gain the freedom to blend them into softer hues. The first noble truth is not the whole painting, but it is the honest primer we lay down so the colors will hold. It tells us that suffering happens because we are alive, and because we care, and because the world is always changing, and that realization, instead of removing joy, turns joy into something precious and near. There is a sweetness that comes from knowing the cake will be eaten. The flowers will fade, the conversation will end, the trip will be over, the summer will cool. The sweetness is in the savoring, and the savoring is only possible when we are awake to time's gentle theft. Breathe in and taste that sweetness. Now, breathe out and feel your body loosen as if it understands a delicate truth it had been waiting to hear. Perhaps tonight, a particular story has been walking back and forth across the stage of your mind. A conversation unfinished, a decision pending, a worry about someone you love. Bring it into the light like a seashell found in the dark. Hold it near your ear and listen to the small ocean it contains, and then place it on the bedside table. Beside the lantern of awareness, you do not need to solve it in the dark. You only need to let it be seen, not with bright interrogation, but with a glance of compassion. The compassion is for you, first of all, for the weary traveler you are, the one who has tried, the one who keeps showing up. The first noble truth says, you are not weak for feeling. You are human, and this humanity is the tender doorway to wisdom. Feel how the breath drapes warmth over the ribs, how the exhale loosens the threads of the day, how gravity holds you in a cradle that never tires. Your jaw can slacken, your tongue can settle in the quiet harbor of the mouth. Your eyes can float like leaves in a slow-moving stream. Even your thoughts can recline on soft couches and speak in lower voices. And in this rearrangement from effort to ease, let us look gently at 3 ripples of suffering the old teachings. Named, the discomfort that comes simply from being bound to a body and a world that can be uncomfortable. The suffering born from change, the pleasant dissolving, the unpleasant arriving, the neutral shifting, and the suffering of subtle restlessness. The way we wish for what is not, or fight what is, or defend what might never need defending. These are common winds that blow across every life. There is nothing wrong with you when they pass. Open the window of awareness just enough to let them move through. If they rattle the pane, steady it with your breath. If they lift a corner of the curtain, watch the dance and smile. What makes the rattling into a storm is often our tightening. And the first noble truth invites us to loosen instead, to step back from the window and feel that the house is sound. Imagine the house of yourself now, the beams strong, the rooms warm, the bed generous, the night beyond full of stars you do not have to count. Somewhere a clock ticks without hurry. Somewhere a kettle cools. Somewhere a neighbor's lamp goes out. And in this geography of calm, it becomes easier to say, yes, suffering visits here, the way weather visits every land, and also yes, there is shelter and company and tea. If your mind seeks reasons, you can remind it softly that reasons are plentiful hunger. Fatigue, loss, fear, attachment, the past that leaves echoes and the future that plays rehearsals. But you do not need to catalogue them tonight. You can let the first truth be as simple as this. There is an ache, and it can be felt with kindness. And when kindness touches ache, something changes, not by force, but by recognition. The way a cat purrs when a hand finally scratches the right place. Let your kindness be that hand, Stroke the brow of your own experience. Tell it, I see you. Tell it, you do not have to be other than you are for me to rest. As you practice this small miracle of acceptance, notice how your breath keeps time like a steady drum at the back of the procession. It does not rush you forward. It does not pull you back. It walks with you. Perhaps a memory arises, someone you miss, a chance you didn't take, an error you wish were not yours. Let the memory sit on the edge of the bed and swing its legs. Let it be a companion rather than a judge. Even regret can soften when it is not turned into a whip. Even fear can soften when it is not dressed as destiny. Even sadness can soften when it is allowed to move. Nothing in you wants to be trapped. Everything in you is trying to flow. And as you feel this flow resume, the first noble truth becomes not a wall but a doorway, not a dead end but a path marker that says, here is where we begin. We begin by telling the truth to ourselves in a gentle voice. We begin by noticing the breath, noticing the body, noticing the mind, and then noticing, the simple fact that you are aware and that awareness is wider than what it perceives. Within that wideness, suffering can stretch and become thinner, like dough rolled out until light begins to pass through. You may find it helpful to whisper a sentence that carries you. This is hard, and I am here. This is heavy, and I am kind. This is moving, and I am steady. Such phrases are like warm stones in the pocket of the mind, talismans you can touch when you need them. In their presence, the rhythm of your heart softens, your breath deepens. The small muscles along the spine release their vigilance. Outside, the night folds its wings around the house. Inside, you lay down your burdens one by one, like books returned gently to a shelf. And every time you set one down, the bed receives more of your weight, and the earth receives more of the bed, and your breath receives more of you. There will be nights when the ache is louder than this. There will be days when the ache hides and you forget it entirely. The truth is not an iron chain, but a weather report that teaches you how to carry an umbrella without resenting the rain. The umbrella tonight is awareness, and its handle is kindness, and the rain is part of the story of this living death. For all its dampness, still grows flowers. Now, as your limbs grow heavier and the thoughts in your head begin to yawn, imagine placing a candle at each threshold of suffering you. No one for the pain in the body, one for the change that stings, one for the restlessness that wants and see how the light does not fight the dark but meets it, the flame leaning and steadying, the wax pooling and then cooling into a new shape that is somehow more beautiful for its use. You are that candle and that wax and that warmth. You are also the hand that set the candle there, and you are the darkness that is not hostile but simply spacious, ready to hold everything without breaking. Breathe into that spaciousness now, and feel how much room you have for your life. Feel how much room the life has for you. The first noble truth is only heavy when carried alone. Here, together with breath and awareness and the quiet strength of night, it becomes light enough to lift with 2 fingers and place gently on the table beside you. You can touch it in the morning if you need to. For now, let it glow faintly while you fold yourself into rest, knowing that by naming suffering you have already untangled part of it, and by resting you are trusting a deeper wisdom than worry could ever manage. Let your last waking thought be simple and kind. May I be safe, may I be soft, may I be at ease with things as they are. Let your last waking breath be a small bow to the truth that connects all beings. And if sleep has not already come to sit like a quiet friend at the foot of the bed, invite it now to lie down beside you. You have told the truth. The truth has softened. The night has made room, and the waves, hearing their names spoken without fear, begin to slow, to spread, to smooth into a calm so wide that the stars themselves lean closer to listen to your breathing. Steady as a lighthouse, patient as the sea. Tonight we turn the lantern toward the gentle engine beneath our aches, not to scold it, not to strip it for parts, but to understand its rhythm so that we can soften its pull. This is the second noble truth, the truth of the cause, the way craving and clinging tighten the knots we feel in the body and the mind. Imagine the night as a wide lake and your breath as a small oar that barely dimples the surface. You do not have to row far, only touch the water, feel the coolness, and notice how the lake receives you without complaint. In the same way, notice how each wish, each fear, each opinion arrives and touches the surface of awareness, and how when you clutch at it, waves rise. But when you let the oar rest, the ripples settle on their own. Craving is a kind of leaning forward, a thirst that believes the next sip will finally be the last. It is the hand reaching again and again, even when what it grasps dissolves like mist. Clinging is the closing of that hand, the insistence that what pleases must stay and what displeases must go. And between these two motions, reaching and rejecting, the heart grows tired. Tonight we practice a different choreography, the quiet art of loosening, the practice of allowing the dance to continue without dragging us across the floor. Keep breathing softly and imagine a small bell in the chest that rings whenever wanting wakes. It is not a harsh bell. It is a silver chime that says only, look. You might hear it when you remember a message you hope to receive, a result you long to guarantee, a version of yourself you wish would arrive fully formed. You might hear it when a worry tries to protect you with 1,000 rehearsals, or when an old story offers a familiar bitterness because it is easier to sip what we know than to taste the cool unknown. Each chime is an invitation to pause for a heartbeat and ask, where does this wanting live in the body? Perhaps it tingles in the fingers, tightens the jaw, narrows the eyes, quickens the breath, leans the head forward as if a magnet waited just beyond the horizon. Perhaps it slumps the shoulders when it knows it cannot have what it demands. Feel it, name it, softly, wanting, pushing, pulling, and watch how, when it is seen without shame, the heat lowers a degree. Craving loves to recruit our muscles, our tongues, our time. It loves to whisper that relief is just one grasp away, and then another and another. But the body knows a steadier relief, the long exhale, the unfurling palm, the way the bed holds your weight without asking you to earn it. Try opening the hand you are not using, slowly, as if it were a flower. Hold it slightly cupped, as if it were collecting moonlight. Notice the sensation of openness, the subtle breeze across the skin, the soft hum of blood. Now, imagine the mind as that hand. Imagine a thought landing in it and then lifting away. Nothing is trapped. You have not given up your agency. You have discovered a kinder one. In this gentler agency, we learn the three companions of craven dire that clings to pleasant things. Aversion that fights the unpleasant, and ignorance that forgets to look closely, and we greet them like travelers in a story. Desire steps in first, perfumed and persuasive, promising a settled heart if only we hold tight. Aversion follows, armored and quick, promising safety if only we push hard enough. Ignorance lingers at the doorway, looking past everything that might free us. None of them are enemies. They are misunderstandings, and misunderstandings can be corrected by seeing. Tonight we see by moonlight, which is to say, we see with gentleness. When desire arises, we might say, a pleasant pull is here. When aversion bristles, we might say, a pushing away is here. When confusion fogs the room, we might say, not seeing clearly is here. And with each naming, we breathe. The breath is the teacher that never charges a fee. It demonstrates impermanence with every cycle, proving that arriving and departing can coexist without drama. Notice how every want you have ever felt eventually loosened, how every no you have ever shouted softened to a shrug or a smile. The mind insists that this time is different, that this want is the one, that this fear is the final one, that this opinion is the last true lighthouse. The mind is trying to help, thank it. Then let the breath show another way. In, receive. Out, release. In, allow. Out, let go. You might recall a time when you finally got what you wanted and how the satisfaction was sweet and also brief, like a fruit eaten standing by the sink. You might recall a time when what you feared arrived, and somehow you lived through it and found surprises in your own resilience. Craving shrinks our world to one point ahead or behind. Awareness widens the horizon again. Feel that widening in your ribs now, as if windows were opening along the sides of the chest. If a thought insists, but I need this to be okay, answer softly, maybe, and right now I can be okay with this breath. If a memory insists, I should have acted differently, answer softly, perhaps, and right now I can act differently toward myself. Craving tries to compress time into urgency. You can re-expend time by moving one eyelash slower. Let your eyes rest deeper behind the lids. Let the skin across the brow smooth like a lake under dawn. Let the throat soften so the air passes like a silk ribbon. Let the belly be a tide that no longer hurries. And now, in this quieter physiology, explore the small practice of urge surfing, a kind skill for meeting the pulls and pushes. When an urge arises, reach for the phone, fix the thought, rehearse the conversation pause, and feel how it is built of body sensations that rise, crest, and fall. Imagine standing on a wide beach, watching a wave form. You do not chase it. You do not shout at it. You watch it climb and curl and dissolve into lace at your feet. The urge will do the same if given room. Measure its life in breaths 1, 2, 5 end. Notice how often the crest passes before the count ends. This experiment is not a test to fail. It is a curiosity. Sometimes you will ride the wave easily. Sometimes you will step into it. Either way, the shore remains. The shore is your awareness. The shore is your kindness. The shore is this bed, this moment, this room that asks nothing extravagant of you. There is also the sticky sweetness of pleasant experiences we try to freeze, like trying to keep a sunbeam in our pocket. We can enjoy the warmth without freezing the light by savoring without grasping. Try it now with the tender comfort of being horizontal, the way the sheet answers your skin, the way the air tastes cooler at the tip of the nose and warmer at the back of the throat. Let pleasure be innocent and moving. Say to it, I see you. Stay as long as you stay. Thank you for visiting. When it fades, as all guests do, bow to its departure the way we bow to a friend headed home. Aversion works the same magic in reverse. When a discomfort shows up, a tug in the back, a thought that pricks, let the mind loosen its slogans. Instead of this must not be here, try this is here, and I can be gentle while it is. Sometimes gentleness means adjusting your posture a fraction. placing a pillow beneath a knee, or coaxing the chin slightly toward the chest to lengthen the back of the neck. Sometimes gentleness means offering the sensation a breath as if it were a thirsty plant. Sometimes gentleness means telling the worry, you may sit quietly, but you may not drive. In each case, you are declining the contract of clinging and choosing the freedom of responsiveness. Ignorance, the third companion, is subtler. It is the habit of not looking, of skating the surface, of believing the first headline the mind prints. The antidote is simple: loving curiosity. You do not interrogate your experience under bright lights. You invite it onto the porch and pour it tea. You ask, what are you made of? Where do you live in the body? What do you want me to believe? And then you wait long enough to hear a kinder answer than the first. Often the kinder answer is silence that loosens the knot. Keep returning to the breath as your anchor. It is old and wise and uncomplicated. Imagine the breath like a small boat tethered at a pier. The mind can wander along the shoreline and look at many things. The boat remains. When you are ready, step back in. The tether is your intention to be present. The water is life, always moving. To live without clinging is not to become blank or careless. It is to participate fully without getting tangled in the net. The fish swims. The net stays folded on the dock. This is a learnable art, and you are learning it now, breath by breath. If you would like a simple phrase to accompany you tomorrow, try this: let go a little. It does not have to be let go completely. Let go a little is enough to test the truth that peace increases when the fist becomes a palm. Another phrase: allow and align. Allow the moment as it is. Align with your values, which are kind. You do not become passive. You become precise. You waste less life wrestling what is already so. Your energy returns to what can be loved and served. As you feel this returning picture, the craving in you as a child who has been running all day, asking for more, more. Kneel and wrap a blanket round their shoulders. Tell them you have enough for tonight. Tell them we will rest and you will feel full in the morning. Craving responds to that voice, your own parental kindness, better than to lectures. The body hears it too. The shoulders ease. The breath rounds its edges. The heartbeat hums a low, steady song. If sleep begins to open its doors, let the words drift. If you are still awake, continue this gentle review of the day's grasping and releasing. Recall one moment when you held too tight and smiled because you saw it. Recall one moment when you let go and feel the small victory settle like a feather. Recall one place you were confused and bless it with patience. Bless yourself for being a student of ease. The second noble truth does not ask you to abandon beauty or ambition. It asks you to right-size them, to wear them like loose garments rather than armor, to enjoy them as breezes rather than bottling them as air. It also asks you to meet discomfort like weather rather than declaring permanent forecast. Behind all these asks is a promise. When the hand relaxes, the heart can hold more. When the heart can hold more, fear has fewer corners to hide in. When fear softens, compassion flows. And when compassion flows, even wanting learns to kneel and drink. Notice now how the quiet has deepened in the room, how your limbs lie like oars pulled in, how your face leaves behind the day's expressions and returns to its original softness. Your awareness is wide enough to include a thought and let it pass, to include a sensation and let it fade, to include a feeling and let it sing itself out. You are practicing in the most human way, repeatedly, with humor when you remember, with forgiveness when you forget. And if there is one image to carry into the tender edge of sleep, let it be this: you are a clear sky learning not to take the clouds personally. Cravings are clouds. They gather, they move, they break their own hearts into rain, and the rain feeds rivers that glimmer in the morning. You do not need to chase what is already part of you. You do not need to exile what is passing through. You are allowed to rest in the middle, to breathe, to soften the hand, to let the bell in your chest ring and ring until even the wanting listens, yawns and curls up beside you, finally calm, finally warm, finally ready to dream of nothing in particular while your whole being rocks gently on the lake of night, held by the vast patience that has always been here, waiting for you to notice and to lean back into its arms. Tonight we arrive at the quiet threshold where the fever lowers and the room grows wider, the place old teachings call the cessation of suffering. Not a thunderclap of victory, but a cooling, a settling, a soft untying of the knots the heart has been gripping. Think of it as a window swung open after rain, the air rinsed anew, the curtains breathing with each inhale you take. You have looked gently at ache. You have understood how grasping tightens it. And now you are invited to taste the relief that comes when the hand relaxes, when the mind returns to simple seeing, when the body remembers what rest feels like in the bone. Allow the jaw to loosen as if it were tired of guarding the gate. Let the tongue rest like a small boat in a still cove. Let the eyes float deeper into their warm caves. Feel the skin of the forehead smooth the way a lake smooths after wind, and all the while breathe with the patience of a tide that knows it will touch the shore again and again without hurry. Cessation is not annihilation, not the world going dark or empty. It is the ending of the needless burning, the quieting of the extra turning of the wheel, the hush after the mind stops poking its own bruises. The ache that belongs to life may visit, but the drama that belongs to clinging can set down its costume and go to sleep. In this moment, imagine the heart as a room where the furniture has been pushed back to make space, and in the center there is only a candle that does not strive to be a sun. Its light reaches enough. It warms enough. It does not compete with night. The night welcomes it. This is how peace behaves when it is not forced. It arrives like a guest who takes off their shoes at the door, who speaks in a low voice, who tidies the table as they sit. Allow such company. If a thought insists that you must achieve peace, smile at its old habit and reply inwardly that peace is what remains when you stop attempting to assemble a better sky. It is already here underneath the busy scaffolding of opinions and rehearsals. Feel that already here quality as a softness in your belly, a widening between the ribs, a pleasant heaviness at the back of the head. In the sanctuary of this breath, we glimpse the truth the sages loved to point toward, that when craving even for a moment, there is a coolness like shade at midday, a clarity like water settling after the stirred silt drifts to the bottom, a freedom that does not need to declare itself to be real. And though words like freedom sound grand, tonight they mean something ordinary and intimate, like finding the perfect temperature of the blanket, or realizing you no longer need to finish the thought that was making a groove in your mind. They mean letting the shoulders drop another half-inch and noticing gravity's tender competence. They mean trusting that you do not have to monitor the stars for them to keep their places. In this ordinary holiness, awareness is not narrow and forced. It is open and kind, like the sky that holds both moon and cloud without preferring either. If a feeling arises, the sky does not collapse. If a memory knocks, the sky does not bar the door. Everything is allowed to pass under this hospitality. Cessation is the host that stops rearranging guests and allows the party to be itself. Let this image settle as you breathe, and feel how very safe it becomes to be you when nothing inside is trying to evict anything else. Safety grows into a quiet joy that is not dependent on the weather of circumstance. It is the joy of enoughness, the hum of a lamp that is on because evening is here and that's all. Sometimes the mind will ask, but what about tomorrow? What about that unfinished conversation? What about the task I am carrying? Answer like the ocean answers pebbles, with a rhythm that never argues. In, I receive. Out, I release. In, I welcome. Out, I let go. Your nervous system understands lullabies written in breath more easily than essays. Sing it this one, and let the body prove the teaching by settling into deeper waves of rest, the kind that smooth thought into quiet shapes and move the blood like a slow, warm river. Notice how the hands forget their chores and become simply hands, how the feet forget their destinations and become simply feet, how the chest, which spent the day listening hard to the world, now listens inward and hears a pulse that is older than any worry. If a ripple of restlessness appears, do not start the old trial of self against self. Offer the ripple a place beside you and watch how, in accepting a seat, it loses the need to perform. Cessation often begins the moment we allow discomfort to be uninteresting, the moment we stop adding adjectives to what is. There is sadness, not tragic, not endless, simply sadness. There is tightness, not catastrophic, not personal, simply tightness. In the honesty of simple naming, unnecessary suffering cannot find a stage. It is dimmed by clarity and wanders off. You are left with a human heart and a human breath and the bittersweetness of being alive, which is more than enough to cradle into sleep. And as you drift toward that borderland, consider the image of a small fire that has served its purpose on a chilly evening. You do not scold the fire. You do not panic that it is ending. You stop feeding it because the night has warmed. The flames relax into embers, the embers into a glow, the glow into a hush. Your mind can do that. The stories can do that. Wanting can do that. Each exhale is a hand that stops adding kindling. Each inhale is a cool night breeze that tells the coals it is safe to rest. Little by little, the heat that kept you vigilant softens into a comfort that keeps you kind. And in that kindness, there is a taste of release, so pure you may mistake it for ordinary calm. It is not dramatic because truth rarely needs to be. It is steady, and steadiness is the great luxury. From steadiness grows insight, seeing that no single moment is a prison, that no feeling commands the whole sky, that joy is not the opposite of sorrow, but the field wide enough to hold both. From steadiness grows love, not the reaching kind, but the resting kind. The love that is less a verb than a climate, the love that says you do not need to qualify to be welcome. From steadiness grows sleep, the body's old wisdom that knows how to repair itself when the conductor of breath keeps the tempo soft and slow. Let the tempo soften again now. Count silently for in, 6 out, or whatever measure fits your lungs kindly. Imagine each out-breath as a small door closing with a click too gentle to hear. Imagine each in-breath as a window opening to the faintest scent of night garden. Allow the mind to wander across this house where doors and windows move without effort. And if the mind returns as a squirrel tapping the pane, smile. The squirrel will tire. The tree outside is patient. Patience is another word for cessation because it does not bargain with time. It lets becoming become and passing pass. It trusts that peace is woven through the fabric of things like a quiet thread you cannot unravel even if you tug. As you feel that thread in your own body, maybe as a line of warmth along the spine or a soft glow at the center of the chest, notice how thoughts grow transparent, how you can see through them as if they were soap bubbles floating through a beam of moonlight. The bubble keeps its shape for a moment and then melts. Your awareness does not weep when it melts. It knows there are more bubbles, more beams, and also a space without either that is still, clean, and yours. No need to chase that space. You are in it when you stop running. You are in it now. From this space, gratitude often rises without being called. Not gratitude as a performance, but as a breath that says thank you to the bed, to the roof, to the lungs, to the heart working on your behalf, to the long lineage of people who learned to rest and taught the next person by lying down near them. You join that lineage, and by resting kindly you quietly teach the morning to be softer when it arrives. The teaching tonight is not to force stillness, but to remove what keeps stillness from being obvious. Relax the frown of expectation, untie the shoes of urgency, hang the coat of self-improvement on its hook by the door. Come inside barefoot. The floor is warm. The room was prepared for you, by you, across all the evenings you have ever survived. Here, nothing needs to be earned. Here, nothing needs to be fixed. Here, even thoughts of being unworthy can curl up in the corner and sleep while you sleep. The great peace does not petition for applause. It is the humility of things doing what they do, well, the night being night, the bed being bed, the breath being breath. And you, in this simplicity, are most yourself, awake enough to notice, surrendered enough to float. Float now. Feel the mattress become a quiet river that knows the way to morning by memory and gravity. Your only work is to be carried. If the mind asks what comes next, tell it gently that next is a story and now is a place. And in this place, the flame has lowered, the lake has stilled, the bird has returned to its nest. The book has closed on a ribbon. Nothing urgent can enter. Even urgency knows to remove its shoes at this door. Close your own inner door with a gesture so small you barely notice it. A longer exhale, a softening of the palms, a loosening around the heart. Watch the last small clutches loosen like knots soaking in warm water. Listen. Behind the silence there is a softer silence, and behind that, a quiet that does not end. It waits without impatience. It holds without pressure. It invites without demand. This is the flavor of cessation, and it is kind. Rest your attention on that kindness the way a hand rests on a sleeping dog. Not to wake it, but to feel its warmth, and remember you are not alone. In a few breaths, perhaps you will drift beyond these words into the wordless meadow where sleep grazes, unafraid. If you remain as a cloud remains, moving and at ease. Either way, you are practicing the end of needless suffering by letting things be as they are, and letting yourself be as you are. And this, more than any clever insight, is the promise kept. There is a way to be free in the middle of a life like this. And sometimes that way is as close as the next unforced breath, the next merciful pause, the next willingness to let the candle burn low without fuss until the room glows just enough to say, "You are safe, you are held, and now is a beautiful time to sleep." Tonight, we step onto the gentle road the old teachings call the Noble Eightfold Path. Not a straight highway demanding speed, but a footpath of soft earth winding through moonlit fields. A path you can walk by breathing, a path that carries you even when your feet are still. Think of it as a raft set at the water's edge, sturdy and patient, waiting for the moment you choose to drift toward quieter shores. You have looked with honesty at the ache. You have seen how grasping tightens it and how releasing cools it. And now you are invited to cultivate the simple skills that keep you near the coolness more often. Not with strain, but with rhythm. Breathe in as if you were lighting a small lantern. Breathe out as if you were placing it along the path. Each breath sets another light, and soon a whole avenue glows. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. The word right here is not a scolding finger, but a tuning fork, a vibration that says aligned, wholesome, steady. You need not memorize anything tonight. You need only let the spirit of alignment settle into your body like warm tea spreading from the cup of your heart. Begin with right view, the first lantern, which is the kind understanding that everything changes, that causes and conditions weave the weather of our days, that when we cling, we ache, and when we soften, we breathe easier. Right view is not cynical or naive. It is tenderly realistic, a pair of clear glasses for the eyes of the heart. Imagine placing those glasses on now and looking at your day with a softness that sees both the freckles of joy and the wrinkles of worry without editing either. Notice how the exhale becomes a little easier when you do not fight what is already so. From that clarity grows right intention, the second lantern, your inner compass pointing toward kindness, toward releasing harm, toward gentleness with yourself and others. Intention is the quiet vow behind the words, behind the acts, behind the occupations, the vow that says, may my thoughts, speech, and deeds incline toward less suffering. Let this vow be a feather on the scale of your life. It does not need to be heavy to change the balance. With view and intention lit, we come to the way we use our voice-right speech, another lantern whose light is chosen gentleness. Tonight it can be as simple as this. Speak less inwardly in the tones that bruise. Let the internal monologue soften its edges. Imagine your inner voice learning to be a lullaby. Tomorrow it might mean telling the small truth kindly, or choosing silence where gossip once would have grown, or offering a word that waters a friend's courage. The bed hears you promise this and softens under you as if approving. From speech we move to right action, which is the choreography of our days aligning with care. Actions that protect life, that honor trust, that cultivate tenderness. Tonight, right action is the way you rearrange a pillow to cradle your neck, the way you place a hand on your heart and thank it for its labor. Tomorrow, it might be returning something lost, holding a door, or stepping away from a conflict to let wisdom catch up. Right livelihood follows, the lantern that shines on how you earn and spend your energy. How your work paid or unpaid contributes to the great weaving without tearing at the threads. Perhaps you cannot change your work by morning, but you can bring a different intention to it, noticing where your effort relieves burden, where it harms less, where it can be a conduit for compassion sent quietly along the line of tasks. The path is forgiving, made for humans with complicated lives. It does not demand purity, only direction. Now we arrive at right effort, a lantern many of us misunderstand because we were taught to grind or to give up. The effort the sages suggest is like tending a small garden. You prevent new weeds of unkindness when you can. You gently pull the weeds that sprout. You water the tender shoots of good states, and you nourish the blossoms already open. In the garden of the mind, this looks like noticing when bitterness starts and choosing not to rehearse it. or feeling a moment of gratitude and dwelling there a breath longer, or returning again and again to a steadier note when the melody wanders. Feel how right effort tonight is almost effortlessness, the effort of staying with the breath and letting its tide carry you. The next lantern is right mindfulness, the art of remembering to remember. The soft alertness that notices the body lying here, the breath moving, the mind dreaming, the heart opening and closing like a hand. Mindfulness does not pry. It waits with interest the way a good friend listens. Imagine that friend sitting by your bed, holding the lamp, noticing without commentary the way your chest rises, the way the shoulders finally yield, the way a thought arrives and dissolves like a cloud. This friend is your own awareness, capable of including everything without being drowned by anything. And then there is right concentration, the final lantern settling attention on something wholesome until the mind becomes unified and calm, like a bowl of water that reflects the moon without a ripple. Concentration is not tense. It is gathered. Tonight your object can be the breath, or the sensation of the bed beneath you, or the quiet glow at the center of the chest. As you rest your attention there, gently, repeatedly, the mind rests too. And from that resting a bright, quiet joy can rise like mist from a river in morning light. All 8 lanterns shine together. They are not 8 separate roads, but 8 facets of the same kindness. When you touch one, the others hum. Feel their hum now, like a low chord under your ribs, steady and reassuring. Perhaps you wonder how to carry this path into days that are busy and imperfect. The path expects no perfection. It prefers regular tenderness. While you brush your teeth, right mindfulness. While you answer a message, right speech and right intention. While you work, right effort and right livelihood. While you cross the street, right view that remember impermanence. While you lie down at night, right concentration that returns lovingly to the breath. The beauty is that even the smallest practice is a doorway. It does not matter which door you enter. Inside is the same house of peace. Imagine that house now. Each room lit by one of the 8 lanterns. Each room quiet. Each window open to easy air. You wander the house with the padding steps of someone who knows they are home. In the room of right view, you sit and try on the glasses of clarity, noticing how their lenses ease the strain. In the room of right intention, you write 3 gentle vows on a slip of paper and place it under a stone. In the room of right speech, your inner voice pours tea and promises to use softer words. In the room of right action, you hang your coat of haste and choose movements that do no harm. In the room of right livelihood, you sort through your tools and keep those that help you serve. In the room of right effort, you brush tiny leaves, pulling the weeds with 2 fingers. In the room of right mindfulness, you lie on a rug and feel the sun on your face. In the room of right concentration, you listen to a silence that is full of quiet light. Then you walk back to the center of the house, to a hearth that emits a gentle glow, and you realize the rooms are not separate after all. They are corners of a single space in which you belong. You bring this realization back to the present body, to the present bed, to the present breath. You do not need to accomplish the path tonight. The path is accomplishing you, shaping a posture of ease, a tone of thought, a cadence of kindness. If your mind asks for an image to remember, see the Eightfold path as a circle of 8 stars around your night sky. Right view is the star at the east that greets the first light. Right intention is the star that points true. Right speech twinkles like bells on a distant harbor. Right action is a steady, bright planet near your horizon. Right livelihood is the constellation of tools arranged like gentle hands. Right effort is a comet that teaches persistence without hurry. Right mindfulness is the North Star you can always return to. Right concentration is the wide, dark sky itself in which these lights become clear. You do not have to trace the whole pattern with your finger. It is enough to gaze and let the pattern find you. Let your breathing draw the circle, rise and fall, round and round, until the stars feel familiar. And now, settle deeper into the mattress as if it were the lap of a trusted elder, who knows all your questions and is not alarmed by any of them. Feel how the body, hearing this map, gives a small sigh of relief, as if a caravan had found the path after dusk. The shoulders drop, the chest opens like a gate, the belly becomes a quiet drum keeping slow time. Within this physiology of trust, the Eightfold Path becomes not an idea but a sensation, alignment. You can sense when you slip out of it and when you slide back, the way a boat knows the channel by the smoothness of its glide. Let yourself glide now. If a thought strays, right mindfulness notices. If an old narrative clenches, right intention loosens. If a twitch of impatience pricks, right effort soothes. If a whisper of self-criticism starts, right speech changes its key. If a memory of work tangles you, right's livelihood widens the view to include whom your work serves. If confusion about what is kind appears, right view offers a higher vantage. If the attention scatters, right concentration gathers it like a shepherd collecting sheep. All of this can happen in the space of a few breaths. All of this is already happening as you rest here. Imagine laying 8 small stones on your bedside table before sleep, one for each lantern, smooth and cool. With your fingertips, you touch each stone and silently offer a blessing. May my seeing be clear. May my intending be kind. May my speaking be gentle. May my doing be harmless. May my earning and spending be wise. May my energy tend what is wholesome. May my attention be present. May my heart be steadied in calm. Then you draw your hand back beneath the blanket, feeling the warmth gather. And you notice a quiet confidence light as a bird on a branch settle in your chest. The confidence is not about certainty but about direction. It whispers that even when the path is briefly lost in fog, the lanterns still burn, and the next step is never more than one breath away. Continue to breathe, unforced. Let the path carry you like a slow river carrying a leaf. Feel the room grow softer at the edges, the sounds moving farther out, the thoughts becoming less interested in their own rehearsals. You are practicing the path in the kindest way. By resting, you honor right action toward your own body. By trusting the breath, you cultivate right concentration. By noticing with affection, you plant right mindfulness. By choosing tenderness over judgment, you strengthen right intention and right speech. By relaxing the grip of more, you clarify right view. By allowing your effort to be no more than this rhythm, you align with right effort. By remembering that your very rest benefits those you will meet tomorrow, you nourish right livelihood. In this way, the Eightfold Path becomes a lullaby of 8 notes repeating, a round that continues even as you drift. Let it repeat, let it round, let it carry you. And if you need a final image, picture the raft again, untied, sliding onto a calm lake under a sky of patient stars. You lie back on its gentle boards, the lanterns along its edges glowing like small moons, and the water accepts you without a crease. The raft knows where the quiet shore is. Your breath knows too. The only thing asked of you is to be a passenger, to trust the old craft of compassion and clarity to ferry you through the night. As you yield to that ferrying, the oar of thought grows still. The mind stops counting the distance, and the heart, relieved, hums a low, steady tune. You are on the path. The path is in you, and the night leans close to listen to your breathing, slow and easy. As the raft and the lake and the stars and the lanterns drift together toward the dawn that will greet you rested, aligned and quietly brave. Tonight we cradle the first two lanterns of the path, right view and right intention, until their glow seeps into the fibers of your evening like warm tea through linen. And we do it not as students cramming a lesson, but as a tired traveler learning the shape of a gentle chair. Breathe in as if receiving a small kindness. Breathe out as if passing it along, and let the body settle by degrees, the brow smoothing, the eyes floating, the jaw unhooking, the shoulders lowering until gravity says thank you. Right view is simply seeing clearly enough to relax the fight with what is. A clarity that notices how everything changes, how causes braid into effects, how clinging shrinks the room and softening gives you the whole house back. Imagine you were looking through polished glass at your day, not to judge it, but to see its true colors, moments of brightness, small shadows, the soft gray in between, and notice how honesty is a bomb, how the breath deepens when pretense leaves. Right view whispers three simple truths. All things are flowing. Suffering grows with gripping, and freedom hums where kindness and wisdom meet. Try them on the way you would try a shawl. This conversation altered, this plan shifted, this mood walked in and then out. You do not need to glue anything in place. You can let life move, and you can move with it. And when something hurts, you can say, this is pain, not punishment. This is weather, not identity. This is a visitor, not the landlord. With this lens, the heart stops taking clouds personally. It learns the taste of impermanence and finds it not bitter but clarifying, like rain rinsing dust from leaves. Right view does not ask you to believe blindly. It invites you to look and see, to test how your nervous system softens when you stop arguing with reality. Feel that softness now along the ribs. Feel the exhale lengthen a thread. Feel the bed rise to meet the new weight you have allowed it. And as you rest in this seeing, let right intention rise like a companion star, your quiet vow to aim the mind toward goodwill, toward letting go, toward harmlessness, the trio of directions that keep the journey kind. Think of intention as the rudder beneath your small boat. The water may change, the wind may shift, but a gentle hand on the rudder keeps you from circling storms. Tonight the hand is barely a touch, just enough to whisper yes to choices that reduce harm and no to the old habits that scrape your own heart. Goodwill first, that warm, steady wish that you and all beings be safe and at ease. It is not sugary or vague. It is practical, like placing a blanket where someone will sit, like lowering your voice in a room where someone sleeps. Turn goodwill inward the way you would turn a lamp toward a page, and read your own weariness with mercy. If a self-critic starts its list, let right view notice its causes: fatigue, fear. Old script sand, let right intention choose another line. May I be gentle with my limits. May I speak to myself as I would to a dear friend. Feel how the body answers such vows with tiny surrenders, the stomach unwinding, the throat opening as if to sip water. Then the intention to let go, the quiet renunciation that is not grim but spacious. The decision to put down what you cannot carry through the night. Imagine placing on the bedside table the bag of more comparison, more proving, more replaying and rehearsing. you can pick up what you truly need in the morning. What remains now is simple. Breath in, breath out, a pulse in the wrist, a faraway sound softening into the general hush. Letting go is not losing. It is clearing a place so calm can sit down. Finally, harmlessness, the vow to do as little damage as possible with thought, word, or deed. Tonight that might mean refusing to ruminate on someone's flaw, declining to let the mind punch holes in your own worth, declining to feed a story that turns a bump into a verdict. In the dark, harmlessness is a kind of quiet lighting, no harsh flash. Only a candle that shows the edges of the bed, the curve of your breath, the path to the shore of sleep. Together, right view and right intention become a duet, seeing and aiming, understanding and choosing, wisdom and love trading turns. Try a small practice to feel them braid. With each inhale, softly say to yourself, seeing. With each exhale, softly say, choosing. Seeing the impermanence of this thought, choosing kindness. Seeing the cause of this restlessness, choosing a longer exhale. Seeing the old fear in new clothes, choosing to loosen the knot 1 millimeter. You are not forcing a transformation. You are training a posture, the way a tree learns the wind and bends without breaking. Notice how this posture appears in ordinary moments. In the kitchen, when a cup slips from your fingers and you hear the impulse to scold. Right view names the conditions, tired hands. A slick edge and right intention guides the next note clean. Breathe, forgive. In traffic, when someone cuts in right view, remembers that other lives are rushed and tangled too. And right intention tilts you toward a quiet generosity that spares both hearts. At work, when the result is uncertain, right view sees how many threads beyond you are weaving. And right intention carries you back to what you can do without burning. Under your blanket, when a memory knocks loudly, right view notices the echo, not the event, and right intention chooses a night code. I will treat you kindly, but I will not let you drive. All this is philosophy only until your body believes it. Help your body believe by practicing small, embodied signals. Smooth the forehead with 2 fingers. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Let the eyes rest deeper as if the sockets were warm nests. Widen the breath like a quiet wave curling and uncurling at the shore of your ribs. Then offer 3 intentions on the exhale, simple as stones set in a path. May I let go a little. May I speak softly inside. May I rest like a good guest in this moment. Do this once, or 3 times, or until sleep gently erases the count. Right view also means noticing the mind's tricks, its habit of making single moments into destinies, of pinning the badge always or never to passing moods. Tonight, when the mind says always, let right view answer sometimes. When it says never, let it answer not yet. When it says I am broken, let it answer I am breath by breath. These small corrections are like tapping a frame straight on the wall. The picture becomes calmer because truth sits level, and when an urge to fix everything surges up because goodness in you wants relief, right intention can lay a hand on that goodness and say, we will fix what can be fixed in daylight. Now we will rest so that our care is strong tomorrow. If another's face appears, someone who wounded or worried you, let goodwill broaden to include them without denying your boundaries. Wish them clarity and healing the way you would wish a storm to move off the coast without flooding the towns. You can be safe and kind at once. Boundaried kindness is a bridge, not a door unlocked. This is right view applied to relationships, seeing causes and conditions that shaped the moment. refusing to shrink a person down to their worst 5 minutes. This spaciousness is not for their comfort alone. It is for your relief. Resentment is a heavy coat to sleep in. Set it on the chair for the night. You can pick it up in the morning if you still want the weight. Perhaps you wonder if these intentions will make you passive. They do the opposite. They free energy from wrestling the unchangeable so it can serve the good. A rested heart acts more wisely. A softened jaw speaks more truly. A mind that sees clearly stops stepping on the same rakes. Right view widens the road. Right intention chooses the lane. Together, they make a way through days that do not promise smoothness, but do respond to gentleness. Bring the practice even closer now to the next 4 breaths. On the first, notice change the inhale cooler at the tip of the nose than the exhale at the lip. On the second, notice cause and effect, how a longer out-breath melts the chest. On the third, notice the urge to cling or push name it without scolding. On the fourth, set an intention. May I loosen the hand and warm the heart. Then rest in the quiet that follows, a small room inside the larger night where you can sit and do nothing in the best way. If thoughts return, let right view smile, oh movement. If they pester, let right intention choose patience. We will keep offering the soft answer until the hard question grows bored. Imagine, to help, a clear pond in the center of your chest. Every time you choose a gentle intention, a leaf falls onto the surface and does not splash. Every time you see truly, the water brightens. Over time, you begin to trust that clarity is your nature and kindness your gravity. The world can stir the pond, but the pond never forgets how to settle. Feel that settling, now hips heavier, spine longer, breath quieter, mind less eager to legislate. Your life will still ask things of you, but this moment asks only that you be here and be kind. That is a profoundly useful rehearsal. It rehearses sanity. And if sleep has already started to braid itself into your awareness, let the words become background music while attention slips into the simple act of breathing. The lantern of right view remains on the bedside table, steady. The lantern of right intention warms the room like a companion by the door. They will keep their posts while you dream. Before you drift, offer a soft benediction that binds them to tomorrow. May I see what is true and aim toward what is kind. May I remember that everything moves and that I do not need to hold so tight to be safe. May my choices tonight be a gift to the person I will be in the morning. Let the benediction drop like a pebble into the pond and watch the rings widen until they reach the edge of the body. The edge of the bed, the walls, the sky. The rings do not need your supervision. Your only task now is to float, upheld by a wisdom older than worry, carried by an intention gentler than fear, guided by a view clearer than habit. Float and let the night do its ancient work, stitching you back together with quiet thread, so that when dawn peeks in, it finds you breathing easily. The rudder set, the glass clear, the heart unburdened enough to meet the day with eyes that see and a will that leans quietly and bravely toward good. Tonight we lay our head in the soft lap of 3 kind companions: right speech, right action, and right livelihood, and let them hum a lullaby for the life we will return to in the morning. Because the world changes not only by thunderous vows, but by the quiet way we place each word, each gesture, each day's work into the stream of causes and conditions that touch every shore. Breathe in and feel the tongue rest in its warm cave, the jaw unclasp, the throat widen as if the corridor of voice were a small lantern-lit street emptied of hurry. Breathe out and feel how silence itself can be nourishing, how the body recognizes safety when there is no need to defend. Right speech begins here, before any syllable, in the climate we create inside, because the first person our voice speaks to is the mind that hosts it. Imagine your inner narrator setting down its clipboard and softening its eyes. Agree that even the most practical tongue is shaped by what the heart is steeped in, and tonight we steep it in gentleness. Right speech is often summarized as words that are true, helpful, timely, and kind, carried by a mind that is clear rather than clouded by ill will or intoxication. Turn those 4 petals in your palm, true, so we do not bend the world to fit a moment's fear, helpful so we speak toward relief and understanding, timely so we respect the season of another's heart, kind so cruelty never borrows our mouth. Let these petals rest upon your chest as you lie there, and sense how their fragrance calms the nervous system. For the body knows the difference between the lash and the lullaby. Remember the small alchemy. A day's worth of speech begins in the night's way of holding oneself, by loosening the tongue from the roof of the mouth, by lengthening the exhale. You are already training speech to come from a throat that is a flute rather than a horn. Think of the next time you will be asked something difficult. Imagine a pocket of breath opening before the answer, a pocket big enough to fit truth and kindness together. Picture yourself saying, "I need a moment," or "I don't know yet," or "Thank you for telling me," and watch how the conversation turns by that gentleness as a river turns by a stone placed just so. And when gossip beckons with its sugar, see its aftertaste, the subtle erosion of trust. The way it teaches the tongue to enjoy harm, and feel how your mouth prefers the clean water of silence or the steady sweetness of praise offered honestly. Tonight, whisper inwardly 3 phrases to season the voice you will carry. May my words soothe where there is heat. May my words clarify where there is fog. May my words be few when few are kindest. Notice how the breath deepens after each phrase, as if the chest approves of the architecture you are building. And if you fear that soft speech equals weak speech, remember that gentleness is not the absence of truth. It is truth chosen with care. A surgeon's hand does not tremble because it is soft. It is soft because it knows what it is doing. You can tell hard truths as a bomb rather than a blade, and a heart held with care can hear what it could not endure under force. Now the lantern of right action rises, the choreography of the body in a world of other bodies, the vow to move through rooms in ways that reduce harm and increase trust, to translate intention into gesture so that someone else's day becomes a fraction lighter for having met you. As you lie still, let the body remember its decency, how the hands prefer to hold, how the feet prefer to carry, how the spine straightens in the presence of dignity given and received. Right action is ancient and simple. Refrain from taking life, from taking what is not given, from misuse of sensuality that turns persons into instruments, from intoxicants that cloud the mind and multiply harm. Hear these not as commandments, but as weatherproofing for the house of your heart. It is a relief to live where the floorboards don't creak with secrets, where the windows are clean enough that light comes and goes without being misread. Picture tomorrow's hands, how they will set a cup down gently so it won't startle the room, how they will hold a door a second longer because they know a stranger is behind, how they will check a message twice. Does this help? Is this needed? Will this grow a bruise? Remember that right action is also the quiet refusal to escalate, the body taking one breath before the gesture that would ripple harm outward. In traffic, in queue, In the kitchen, you will feel small sparks. Practice the motion of the shoulder relaxing, the jaw unhooking, the hand releasing its invisible fist. That is a sacred movement, like a monk lowering the bell. In the deeper sense, right action includes how we touch the living earth, the way we return what we borrow, the way we place our shoes, the way we leave a room more orderly than we found it. What you do with the bag of trash in your hand, the piece of litter on the sidewalk, the tone in the email, the patience in the voice, these are not footnotes. They are the text. And in bed, even now, action is the breathing that tells the animal body it is safe and will not be forced. Place a palm on the belly and feel it rise into your hand, a small truce between effort and ease. It is astonishing how that truce spreads. Right action grows larger than we think, but it always begins smaller than we expect, smaller and immediate. Vow to perform one act of secret kindness tomorrow, something that no one can repay, and let that promise warm your ribs. Notice how sleep moves closer when the future contains such simple goodness. Then the lantern of right livelihood comes to sit at the foot of the bed, patient and illuminating, asking with quiet curiosity, how do you earn and spend the energy of your life? What do you align yourself with for bread, for shelter, for recognition? Right livelihood is the art of working without wounding, of refusing to fuel trades that deal in harm, deception, or the dulling of minds. It is not always simple to arrange, because lives are entangled and opportunities uneven. But even within constraint, there is room to tilt the work toward service, toward honesty, toward care. If you cannot change the job by morning, you can change the way your day's labor becomes a conduit for kindness. Dedicate the first email to the well-being of the recipient. Pause before the transaction and remember the human on the other side. Choose your purchases like you choose your words. Helpful, timely, kind, true in origin, helpful to those who labored. Timely in need rather than hunger for more, kind to the earth that will absorb what you discard. Small choices form the current that carries the raft. In bed, let your mind walk through your workplace like through a field and notice where harm can be reduced by 1 degree, a joke you won't tell, a shortcut you won't take, a credit you will share, a pressure you will not pass down the line but intercept with patience. Imagine your name in someone's story at dinner, mentioned as the person who made the task clearer, the day gentler, the mistake survivable. That is good livelihood, a life whose footprints are soft. If you worry that these ideals are too high for the heart that must pay bills, let the breath answer. It knows how to continue one cycle at a time. In the same way, right livelihood is one turn toward integrity at a time, a series of tiny edits that gradually revise the book of your days. Let the exhale take with it the brittle husk of image, status, and comparison, and feel the inhale fill the emptied space with a simpler nourishment, competence offered without vanity, service offered without martyrdom, craft tended without conceit. The nervous system relaxes where pretense is not required. Feel that relief now as a gentle heaviness along the limbs. The 3 lanterns speech, action, livelihood, form a triangle of warmth around your bed. The room glows with the possible, and you, anchored by breath, begin to trust this triangle to hold you. Consider how they protect one another. Right speech without right action risks becoming pretty air. Right action without right speech risks becoming mute goodness that cannot guide. Right livelihood without either risks becoming efficient harm. Together, they tune the instrument of a life until the note you play in ordinary hours is a low, steady kindness. Picture a day ahead in which your voice is a soft rain that helps seeds break their shells. Your gestures are small bridges laid across quick rivers, and your work is a clean stream where people come to fill their cups. Do not force this picture into a future you cannot hold. Let it simply tint the water tonight. As you rest deeper, practice the small rituals that lace these intentions into muscle memory. Place the tip of the tongue behind the top teeth and let a sigh slip out, as if the body is saying, finally. With the next inhale, imagine drawing in clear air through a golden reed that runs from the heart to the mouth. With the next exhale, imagine that reed vibrating with notes of patience. Then let it all go and feel the ordinary breath continue, a loyal tide. If memories of misspoken words visit, bathe them in warm light. Whisper, I'm learning. Imagine apologizing where it would heal, and letting go where the apology would reopen the wound. If memories of clumsy acts appear, imagine their causes and conditions and bow to the lesson. Gentleness next time. If memories of work done in haste or at odds with your values, knock. Answer with a vow scaled to your reach. Tomorrow I will align 1 inch closer. Tomorrow I will notice who is downstream. These vows do not need signatures. Your breath will witness. And now you might let these 3 practices coil into a single sentence that you can breathe like a mantra, unforced between waking and sleep. May my words be a bomb, my hands be a bridge, my work be a blessing. Repeat it silently as many times as it takes for the rhythm to begin rocking you toward the shore, where language thins and the body leads. The bed is patient. The night is soft, but the stars keep their posts without needing you. Let them. Inside, a deeper stillness gathers, one that does not erase the world's complexity, but gives you a way to meet it without being torn. Tomorrow, by the sink, by the screen, by the doorway, these lanterns will remember you because you remember them now. The voice will pause and choose. The hands will hover and soften. The day's work will ask, and you will answer with a little more grace. For the moment, nothing is required but to rest in the trust that the simplest goodness is already growing in you while you sleep. The way seeds beneath winter do not argue, yet they prepare. Sleep now in the triangle of warmth. Your breath, a quiet bell that keeps time for a choir you will join again at dawn. Your tongue resting in its cave like a small animal that has finally found its nest. Your hands turn slightly upward as if ready to receive the ordinary miracles the morning will place there. One conversation, 1 act, 1 hour of work each, transformed by the softness you are weaving, breath by patient breath, into the fabric of a day that will carry less harm and more peace, because you knew, in the dark, how to lay the pattern down. Tonight, we take the soft lantern of right effort into our hands and feel how its warmth is not the heat of strain, but the steady temperature of devotion. A glow that does not scorch the fingers or exhaust the air. A glow that lasts through the night because it burns clean. Let your breath show you what this effort feels like. Inhale, like a tide entering a quiet cove. Exhale like that same tide returning without hurry, a rhythm that never needs to prove itself. Right effort is not grinding or grim, not clenched jaw and stiff spine, not the anxious sprint of a mind terrified of losing ground. It is the wise willingness to tend what leads to peace and to stop feeding what leads to trouble. An ecology of the heart that knows which plants to water and which vines to gently pull from the roots. As you lie here, place a palm on the belly and sense the old animal wisdom there. The way your body already understands pacing, the way it cannot be argued into sleep but can be invited. In the same way, the mind cannot be bullied into calm, but it can be inclined, guided, persuaded by patient companionship. The old teachings describe for gentle labors the 4 right exertions to prevent unwholesome states from arising, to abandon those that have arisen, to cultivate wholesome states not yet born, and to maintain and deepen the wholesome states already present. Tonight we explore them as if strolling a night garden, pausing where fragrance rises, moving on from thorns without drama, letting the moon help us choose. Prevention is the first kindness, like closing a window when the storm begins, not as rejection of weather, but as care for the room. You practice prevention when you choose not to rehearse a grievance at midnight, when you decide not to open the door to a glowing screen that will flood the cave of your eyes, when you loosen your jaw before a thought tightens it into a script. Prevention is small and quiet and profoundly merciful. Notice a doorway in your mind where trouble often enters, perhaps the corridor of comparison, perhaps the alley of doom forecasts, perhaps the cupboard of old mistakes, and imagine, with the next exhale, placing a velvet rope there with a tiny sign that reads "Closed for rest." The mind will try to step over it out of habit. Smile and point to the sign again. Effort here is the light press of 2 fingers to your own shoulder, a redirection without scolding. Then there is abandoning what has entered, and this too is gentle, no war against yourself. Only the wisdom to open a hand that is reflexively closed. If a thorny thought is already perched on the pillow, if agitation is already tightening the chest, you might try one of the old arts. Replace, examine, ignore, or befriend. Replace by offering the mind a better bone to chew, counting breaths down from 10. Humming a fragment of a lullaby, imagining a lake where each inhale smooths a ripple. Examine by shining a mild light on the thought's parts. Where is it felt in the body? What story does it insist on? How old does it feel in as you map it? Notice how it loses the power of the unnamed. Ignore by softening attention. Turning the face away the way you would refuse eye contact with a cat who thinks it is playtime at 3 a.m. Befriend by giving the discomfort a seat and a blanket, telling it you see it and it may rest too. All these are ways of releasing without force, ways of abandoning without abandoning yourself. The third exertion is cultivation, and this is where the heart brightens. Because here you plant and water kindness, gratitude, patience, joy in others' joy, clarity, steadiness. You do not need to cultivate them all at once. Choose one seed tonight. Perhaps gratitude is easiest without listing. Simply sense the presence of the bed, the roof, the breath, the press of time eased for a few minutes. Or choose loving kindness. Whisper inwardly, may I be safe, may I be at ease, may I sleep. Then let it radiate to one person you love, one person you barely know, one person who troubles you, and finally to all beings wrapped in this night. Or choose patience, feel how it tastes in the mouth, how it lengthens the exhale, how it smooths the brow. Cultivation is slow and unsurprising, like dew forming. You will not hear applause, but the body will thank you by releasing millimeter by millimeter its armor. The fourth exertion is maintenance, the art of protecting fragile green shoots from frost and summer from drought. If tranquility has arrived, do not jostle it with self-congratulation or greed for more. If clarity is here, do not scatter it by flicking from thought to thought. Maintenance is tender stewardship, guarding the quiet the way you'd cup a small flame while crossing a windy porch. The paradox of right effort is that it is both engaged and relaxed. To slack, and the mind drifts into old ruts. Too tight and it rebels, or shatters, The Buddha once likened the practice to tuning a lute. If the string is too tight, it snaps. If too loose, it will not sing. Find the tone tonight by listening in the muscles of your face and hands. When the effort is right, the forehead is smooth, the breath unlabored, the heart neither rushed nor drowsy. The mind is like a lake with slow fish beneath and a simple reflection of the moon above. You have known the taste of wrong effort, forcing judging, chasing, counting victories and defeats on a scoreboard no one sees. Feel how different this is, a shepherd's patience more than a soldier's march. To help you balance, try this small sequence on 4 breaths. Breathe in and soften. Breathe out and steady. Breathe in and brighten. Breathe out and settle. Repeat until the body learns the meaning behind the words. To prevent and abandon, to cultivate and maintain. You may want a few tools within reach. Postulate, the back be supported, the throat open, the jaw relaxed. Anchor breath, sound, touch, or light at the heart. Language short phrases that tilt the mind. Let be, let go, begin again. Image a shore, a candle, a sky that does not mind clouds. Time patience enough for 10 breaths, which is an ocean in practice terms. When the mind complains that none of this is dramatic, tell it quietly that drama is often a symptom of a hungry craving for conclusion. Peace is less theatrical, more like a good chair and a long look out a window. Notice how, as effort writes itself, your senses change their volume. The room is not louder than your breath. Thoughts are not louder than the room. The heart's gentle metronome is the softest and most persuasive sound. And notice how right effort expresses itself tomorrow without you forcing it. The reaching hand slows. The reply lengthens. The appetite self-questions without shame. The old hook finds less purchase. This is because you grew roots tonight. There is no need to stare at them. They do their work in the dark. When restlessness arises, because it will treat it as weather. Prevention says, close the window. Abandonment says, dry the page. Cultivation says, brew tea. Maintenance says, save a little heat for later. In practice, that may sound like switching off a thought by turning toward the breath, then replacing it with a gentle counting, then savoring the feeling of relief, and guarding it from the next compulsive reach. You are learning a choreography you can dance half asleep. Should you want a mantra that bundles the 4 exertions, try this: guard the gate, release the thief. Water the seed, shelter the bloom. Breathe each phrase once, then return to silence. Right effort also knows joy, the quiet gladness that rises when you catch yourself being kinder and do not make a spectacle of it. Let that gladness be humble and warm, a hand on your own shoulder, a look that says, keep going in this soft way. Sometimes effort means making a small change to help the body cooperate. A pillow under the knees, a blanket over the feet, a shift of the tongue from the roof of the mouth. The nervous system reads these as signals of safety and lowers the alarm. Healthy effort is always in dialogue with the body, never shouting over it. And because we are human, there will be nights when the needle swings to far hours of overtrying minutes of giving up. On those nights, right effort is simply the permission to begin again without the tax of self. Beginning again is the master key. Your breath holds it for you in every cycle. Feel it now. The inhale is the door opening, the exhale the step through. Open, step. Open, step. Perhaps you want to taste each exertion as a flavor on the tongue. The flavor of prevention is clear water, of abandoning, cool shade, of cultivation, honey in tea, of maintenance, warm bread under a cloth. None are complicated. None require a PhD in your own suffering. They ask only that you keep your company and your promise to practice. And because harmony loves images, consider the picture of a steady gardener at dusk, moving along the beds with a small copper can. The gardener does not debate with weeds, they pull them. They do not rush the blossoms open, they protect them from wind. They do not flood the ground, they water around the roots. As you watch this gardener, realize you are looking inward through a window at your own effort. Wave to them, they nod. They continue. The nightly air smells of tomato, vine, and basil, and clean dirt. The sky purples. The first star arrives. Your breath is the can pouring, the pause between pause, the lifting and setting down. This is the work that makes morning generous. Even now, while you listen, you may sense small changes, a habit loosening, a fear unfurling one tight petal, an ordinary peace spreading across the chest like lamplight across a table. If the mind presses for results, Sam, I doing it right? Is it working right? Effort smiles like an elder who has seen many seasons and answers softly, we are watering, not measuring. We are turning soil, not drafting reports. Sleep loves to arrive where such wisdom holds the field. And if sleep lingers, continue with a simple protocol that costs nothing and pays much. Choose a wholesome state to cultivate perhaps. Loving kindness and pair it with the breath. On the in-breath, silently say to the body, thank you. On the out-breath, say rest. On the in-breath, say I am here. On the out-breath, say I release. After a few rounds, drop the words and feel their echo doing the work. If unwholesome states visit worry, resentment, agitation, apply the sequence with humor. Prevent by not inviting them to tea, no scrolling. No argumentative rehearsals. Abandon by escorting them kindly to the door with the breath as your arm in arm. Cultivate by offering the mind a warm blanket of gratitude or a cool sheet of forgiveness. Maintain by lingering a few breaths in the relief and protecting it from the next knock. Remember the lute, tune, play, rest, tune again. Remember the lake, ripple, still, ripple, still. Remember the sky, cloud, clear, cloud, clear. Your effort is not the weather. It is the relationship with weather learned with patience. Let patience become the pillow your thoughts rest on. Feel how, under right effort, the night takes on a new texture, like silk that has been smoothed by many hands. Whatever the day was, the night can be this sanctuary. You are not falling behind by softening. You are catching up to yourself. And the self you are catching up to does not ask for more than this. A breath chosen on purpose. A thought let go on purpose. A kindness planted on purpose. A quiet guarded on purpose. The rest will follow in its own time. Allow the final breaths tonight to be wide and slow. Each exhale a small release of torches you no longer need to carry. Each inhale a lamp lifted inside the ribs. Feel the weight of blankets as the good weight of intention, tangible and protective. Feel the mattress like a faithful raft that knows the current of sleep. Your only work is to lie still and let the river remember your name. It does, it always does. And as you drift, trust that right effort has already begun to repattern the hours ahead. So that when morning opens its pale eye, you wake inside a body and mind tuned enough to sing not loudly but true, to move not frantically but cleanly, to speak not much but mercifully. The song will be simple, guard the gate, release the thief, water the seed, shelter the bloom. Hum it once as you cross the border to dreams, and feel the garden of the heart receive the dew that forms only when the night is unforced. When the gardener rests, when the stars themselves seem to nod and say, yes, the soft way is strong. Tonight we return to the home we carry everywhere, the simple refuge of awareness. And we do it without rushing, without forcing, as if we were easing open a familiar door and stepping into a room that already knows our name. Mindfulness is not a trick or a pose, not a narrow beam that strains the eyes, but a soft, steady lantern that lights up what is actually here, inviting the body, feelings, mind, and the quiet patterns underneath to be seen with hospitality. Begin by letting the breath become a tide you can feel with your whole skin, cool on the in-breath at the tip of the nose, warm on the out-breath along the upper lip, subtle movement beneath the ribs, the gentle lift and fall of the belly, and let the bed rise to meet you as if the earth itself were practicing kindness. Loosen the jaw, let the tongue rest, let the shoulders settle as if they had been waiting all day to be told it is safe to be heavy. There is no special state to manufacture, only a willingness to notice. And while noticing, you can still drift, you can still yawn, you can still grow pleasantly drowsy. Mindfulness is not a drill sergeant, but a friend who sits by the window and points with a smile when the light changes. Start with the body because the body is honest. Feel the outline of your form, the weight of the head on the pillow, the spread of the shoulder blades, the way the blanket presses like a mild embrace, the warmth nested in the palms and soles. Notice the small climate zones of your body, cooler at the extremities, warmer where limb rests on limb, a breeze of breath in the throat. If a tightness lives somewhere, a knot in the back, a small drum behind the eyes, meet it as a host meets a guest, not to interrogate, not to banish, simply to make room. You might breathe from the edges toward that place as if you were carrying a soft cloth and laying it over the knot. And every exhale helps the cloth settle. Scanning the body is not a test to pass, but a way of saying, I'm here with you, to each quiet region. From the forehead, to the jaw, to the throat, to the chest, to the belly, to the hips, to the thighs, to the knees, to the shins, to the ankles, to the toes. The mind will wander, let it. Each time you notice the wandering, the noticing is mindfulness itself, the home to which you can return. Whisper, welcome back, and feel how the nervous system chooses ease over effort when you are kind to it. Now, gently turn toward feelings, not the stories about them, but the basic weather, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. When the blanket's warmth strikes you as sweet, recognize pleasant. When a twinge interrupts the ease, recognize unpleasant. When a quiet gray middle spreads like fog, recognize neutral. You do not have to label every moment, only enough to notice you are not welded to any of them. They rise and settle like ripples. In naming their tone, you are already less entangled. This is the tenderness of mindfulness. It does not deny or cling, it bows. It understands that feelings are the body's quick letters, and you can read them without obeying them. Now, turn toward the mind the way you would turn toward a stream, watching eddies form and drift. Is the mind busy, sleepy, bright, dull, contracted, spacious? Let it be as it is for a breath or two. If it is tight, give it room by softening the eyes behind the lids. If it is dull, brighten the posture by imagining the crown of the head rising on an in-breath. If it is agitated, lengthen the out-breath slightly and feel the belly rise and fall under your palm. You are not fixing the mind. You are befriending it. Befriending changes everything. It is astonishing how much the mind relaxes when it is not scolded for its nature. And beneath the passing moods there are patterns. The habits and truths, the old teachings called dhammas that mindfulness can meet like a patient archivist. Perhaps you recognize the habit of clinging, arriving in the costume of a replayed conversation. Perhaps you notice the breath growing shallow when the body thinks it must guard. Perhaps you see impermanence playing out even in this quiet thought, appearing like fireflies and blinking away. To notice these patterns without dramatizing them is to stand on the bank and see the current. You do not need to leap. You do not need to dam the river. Seeing is already a freedom. And tonight, because rest is our compass, let the practice be light and musical, like learning a lullaby by ear. Pair your noticing with a phrase, simple and merciful. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Or shorter still, in, out. If a worry insists, fold it into the breath. In here, if the mind asks for an image to accompany the feeling of attention, picture a clear pond in the chest. Each time you rest your awareness, the surface clarifies. Thoughts still pass beneath like fish. Shadows move, a leaf lands, but the water can reflect the moon. You will never abolish movement entirely. Stillness is not the eviction of life, but the capacity to contain it without tipping. If you want to widen mindfulness beyond the breath, listen to the room's silence the way you would listen to a beloved voice from the next room, the hum of the night. A distant car, the subtle creak as temperature shifts. Include these without owning them. They are guests in the house of awareness, welcomed but not installed. To help the heart, you can add a fragrance of kindness to your noticing when you feel the chest rise. Think softly, may I be at ease. When you feel the chest fall, think softly, may all beings rest. Allow the phrases to blur until only the tone remains, the quiet tone of wishing well. Mindfulness soaked in goodwill is less likely to turn into surveillance. It becomes a warm light rather than a bright interrogator. Notice how sleep edges closer when awareness is merciful. And if sleep does not come yet, that is also whether you can watch. Mindfulness can be sleep's gentle handmaid, keeping the mind company until the gates open. Sometimes the gate opens faster when you stop asking it to. That too is something to notice. Turn the lens of awareness now to subtle chain reactions. A thought arises about tomorrow. A small ache answers. A breath shortens. The mind leans forward. Catch the chain at the breath lengthen, soften, round. Or catch it at the thought label, planning, and let it float off like a balloon into a dark sky. Or catch it at the body, wiggle the toes, relax the brow, return. There is always a link you can meet. Choose the gentlest one. When memories visit, meet them as you would meet a neighbor at dusk while you are stepping out to water the plants. Smile, nod. Do not invite them in for tea. They will understand if you carry a watering can. Mindfulness with boundaries is not cold, it is wise. And when a sweet feeling arises, comfort, gratitude, a purr of contentment, let mindfulness linger there a heartbeat longer. Not to clutch it, but to savor it, to memorize the path to this doorway so you can find it again. Savoring is different from grasping. Savoring inhales fully. Grasping holds its breath. Inhale, soften, allow. Exhale, share, release. Bring attention again to the four foundations with a soft circuit, like walking a small circle in a garden at night. Body, there is weight and warmth. Feelings, this moment is pleasant. Mind, the tone is quiet, a little drowsy. Pattern sleep comes when effort is kind. 1 circle, 2 circles, 3. Then stop walking and sit on a bench in the same garden, which is what the body is doing now. You do not need to keep naming once your system has learned the route. You can trust the body to breathe and the mind to float and awareness to hold both. And if a storm brews, inside anxiety rising like wind, thoughts pelting like rain lower the sails. Small breath in, long breath out. Small breath in, long breath out. Picture a lighthouse in the ribs and let the breath be its beams low, regular, turning. Ships will pass. Waves will slap. The beam does not hurry. Mindfulness is this unhurried turning, this willingness to be steady. You will not do it perfectly. Perfection is a mirage that keeps you thirsty. You are allowed to sip. You are allowed to sleep. Perhaps you will enjoy a very small practice now that bundles everything on the inhale. Feel the breath as a whole from nose to navel. On the exhale, whisper silently enough. On the next inhale, feel the back body expand, the shoulder blades gently parting. On the next exhale, whisper home. Enough, home. Enough, home. Let the words fade until the body understands them without sound. If you lose the thread, begin again. And if you lose the beginning, let the breath begin you. Mindfulness does not belong to a few serene people on high mountains. It belongs to anyone with lungs and a pulse and a wish to be less at war with their moments. It is yours now, and the room knows it. Notice how the mattress has become more buoyant, how the muscles along the spine have left their guard posts, how the mouth curves with the trace of a dream that hasn't arrived yet. You are practicing the art of staying with what is gentle and letting what is sharp pass without lending it your name. In time, this practice changes the hours when you are awake. In this hour, it changes the angle between you and sleep so that gravity can do the rest. There is a final kindness you can offer. Widen awareness to include not only yourself, but the invisible company of sleepers and watchers across the night. Someone in a distant room also lying on their side. Someone rocking a baby. Someone at a window thinking quietly. Someone bargaining with worry. Someone who just this minute found breaths sure and sighed with relief. Let your awareness stretch to them as moonlight stretches across water nor effort, just a natural spread. Wish them rest. Wish them safety. Wish them ease. Then draw the light back into your own chest, as if you were gathering folds of a soft fabric. The fabric becomes your breath again, rising and falling. The rising says, I am here. The falling says, I let go. You are here, you let go. You are here, you let go. In this rhythm, the room tilts towards silence. The thoughts drift to the edges, the way birds settle into darker branches. And the core of you hums with the simple truth that presence is enough. You do not need to keep watch now. The lantern can rest on the bedside. Its glow remains behind your ribs, ready to light whenever you open your eyes. For now, close them deeper. Let awareness become vast and soft like the night sky, holding stars without needing to count them. Let the body be a quiet hill. Let the breath be mist that clings and releases. Let the mind be a small house with open windows, curtains moving, nothing to steal. In this house, in this sky, in this garden, you are safe to sleep. Mindfulness, faithful and tender, will keep you company until dreams arrive. And when morning returns, it will still be here, a familiar door, a friend by the window, a way of meeting the day with the same ease that lifted you into rest, seeing what is, accepting what comes, and stepping softly, breath by breath, along the path that remembers you by the sound of your gentlest exhale. Tonight we arrive at the quiet crown of the path, right concentration, the art of gathering the wandering lights of the mind into one soft star and letting its steady glow bathe the whole sky of your being. Not a tightening, not a tunnel, but a gentle unification in which what is wholesome becomes vivid and what is unnecessary falls away, like hushed conversation at the door when the music begins inside. Let your body prepare the way by choosing stillness that is friendly, the head heavy and supported, the throat open as a moonlit corridor, the shoulders melting down and wide, the hands resting like boats at them, the belly rising and falling with the tide. Invite the breath to be your single, kindly anchor, not because the breath is extraordinary, but because it is faithful, because it is here, because it knows how to cradle the nervous system in rhythms older than your thoughts. Feel the cool touch at the nostrils as the inhale arrives, the faint warmth along the upper lip as the exhale returns, and let attention perch there like a calm bird on a familiar branch. Right concentration is the willingness to keep returning to that branch, returning without scolding and without performance, returning as naturally as the tide returns to the shore that has loved it for 1,000 nights. If the mind wanders, notice it the way you would notice a friend standing up to stretch, and then invite it to sit again. The invitation is the practice, the kindness is the glue. As attention steadies, the breath, too, often grows more subtle, and so your listening grows finer, and so tranquility begins to seep through the seams of the body, a smoothing of the brow, a loosening of the back of the tongue, a sweet weight settling into the hips. Imagine now that the breath is a lamp at the center of the chest, and the mind is a circle drawn gently around that lamp. With every in-breath, the lamp brightens by a shade. With every out-breath, the circle clears of clutter. You do not need to force anything to remain. You simply keep house, placing each wandering thought on the shelf of later, laying each small urgency at the threshold, like shoes that can wait until morning, thanking each memory for its visit and letting it drift back into the soft hallway of the night. In this house, concentration is hospitality for the breath, a continuous welcome that leaves less room for the rest without a war. The old teachings say that a gathered mind becomes malleable and bright, joyful and calm, unified and protected, like a clear pond that reflects the moon so perfectly you could believe the moon had come down to bathe. Taste a hint of that as you rest attention on the breath and allow a warm ease to arise when the mind and object meet. If a joy bubbles up, perhaps a current of light up the spine or a buoyant lift in the chest, let it be gentle. Let it be the straw-colored glow of late afternoon, not a fireworks display. Right concentration prefers the joy that steadies rather than the joy that startles. Feel that steadiness as an inner alignment, as if many small yeses inside you had found the same pitch. If the body feels too bright, lengthen the exhale. If the mind feels too dim, brighten the posture a hair, as though the crown of the head were listening for a distant bell. Return, return, return. Each return a golden stitch in the cloth of calm. Concentration is this cloth, and it grows with every stitch until eventually the body-mind is wrapped in it, warm and simply content. Now imagine the breath not only as air, but as kindness entering and leaving, a tide of benevolence. On the inhale, the word here can rest silently on the mind. On the exhale, the word ease. Here, ease. Here, ease. After a while, let even the words dissolve and keep only their flavor. The mind will sometimes slip the knot and sail toward old familiar coasts, planning, replay, commentary. Notice the direction and smile. The smile is important. It is how the heart remembers that we practice to be free, not to be perfect. Guide the boat back by feeling the texture of breath as if it were silk drawn through ringed fingers, cooler, warmer, finer until the fascination with subtlety becomes more interesting than the noise of thought. That is the secret kindness of concentration. It makes peace compelling. As attention deepens, the sense of boundary often softens too. The bed seems to rise around you like a gentle lake. The skin becomes a permeable shore. The breath breathes itself, and you are breathed. Let that happen. Let doing recede and being come forward. There is still a simple intention: stay with the breath, but it is light as a lantern hung on a low branch to mark the spot, not heavy as a burden carried uphill. If a pleasant calm grows, you may notice the mind wanting to evaluate, to clap, to videotape its own stillness. Smile again and let the evaluator be included as a passing breeze. Return to the lamp, to the tide, to the circle that holds. In deeper calm, the breath might become so fine it is more a feeling than a movement, a whisper more than a sound. You can then rest attention at one point, the tip of the nose, the upper lip, the heart center, or broaden it to the whole body breathing. Both are wholesome. Choose the one that makes the heart softer. Either way, keep the attitude tender and the grip light. Right concentration is a garden gate left on its latch, not a door barred against the world. The latch is enough. The gate swings and settles with each breath, and behind it the garden rests. If you want an image to deepen the unification, picture a bowl filled to the brim with quiet water. Your attention is the surface. A single thought is a ripple, but when the bowl is left in a windless room, the surface rounds and rounds itself. You are not the wind. You are the room. You provide conditions. Calm does the rest. Sometimes a bright contentment arises, a happiness free from object, like light that enjoys being light. Do not chase it. Let it wash through and become background. The true gift is the collectedness itself, the way distractions lose their stickiness and kindness gains an easy gravity. From here, clarity can blossom without strain. The mind sees how a thought begins, how it flowers, how it fades, and it does not need to pick every blossom. This is where concentration and insight become companions, where steadiness allows seeing to be gentle and true. But tonight, because sleep is the door we hope to pass, allow the steadiness to tilt you toward drowsy ease. Keep the breath as your lullaby and let the unification become thick and slow, like honey returning to the jar. If restlessness pricks you an itch, a thought about tomorrow, include it inside the circle of calm. There is a small ripple in the bowl, and also the bowl. There is a gust at the gate, and also the garden. Widen, include, return. And if a soft heaviness gathers at the forehead or behind the eyes, let your attention sink an inch lower into the heart area, the candle's room, and abide there. Imagine that each exhale broadens a field of friendly dusk under your ribs, and each inhale draws the last light of the day across that field, even and golden. Soon the mind prefers that field to the old tracks of worry. It will graze there peacefully if given time. Right concentration is patient time. It knows that the most beautiful changes often occur just after we stop tugging on them. Allow the tugging to end. Imagine a sky of deep blue velvet and your breath a single star that does not twinkle or wander. The eyes behind the lids gaze softly toward that star. The body recognizes the instruction and rests. Inside this rest, the 8 lanterns of the path feel closer to one another. Because a gathered mind is a better home for them all. Right view finds clearer lines. Right intention tastes its own sweetness. Right speech rehearses its tone without speaking. Right action remembers the choreography of care. Right livelihood sees its true customers downstream. Right effort tunes itself to the perfect string. Right mindfulness turns luminous in the steady room. The circle is complete, and you are in its center without strain. Take a few breaths now, as if you were sewing that center into the body. Inhale, thread through. Exhale, not gently. Inhale, thread through. Exhale, not gently, till the garment of calm lies across you naturally. If the mind seeks proof, it will not find it. Concentration leaves traces in feeling, not trophies in thought. The trace is this: a warmth and an urgency, a sense that everything can be met in its time. Sleep loves that climate. Should sleep come, let it. Release the practice like a boat releases the oar when the current is sure. Should you remain awake, continue to breathe, to rest attention, to let the circle hold. Both are victories. Either is peace. Before you drift, set down one small blessing, as if placing a note under the pillow for the person. You will be in the morning. May my mind remember the path of the breath. May my heart gather easily. May my day arise from the calm I plant tonight. Then forget even that, and let forgetting be part of the medicine. The bed is a raft on a lake with no storms. The lake is a sky that has come down to carry you. Your breath is the star that steers. You need not do more than glow and go on glowing, softer, softer, until even the star rests and what remains is only spacious night, friendly and deep, holding you the way the sea holds the moon's reflection without effort, without end, with the quiet promise that when morning touches the window, the calm you found here will be folded inside your chest like a letter, ready to be opened by a single mindful breath. We have walked softly through the night together, lantern by lantern, naming the ache without fear, seeing the roots of grasping, tasting the cool relief of letting go, and learning the gentle choreography of the noble Eightfold path until it felt less like a list and more like a lullaby breathed by the body itself. You practiced right view as the clarity that loosens the fight with what is. Right intention as the quiet compass that turns you toward goodwill and harmlessness. Right speech as the voice that soothes instead of right action as the choreography of kindness that leaves lighter footprints. Right livelihood as the way your days earn and spend compassion. Right effort as the gardener's patience that waters what heals and stops feeding what harms. Right mindfulness as the warm light that welcomes each moment without clinging. And right concentration as the soft gathering of attention into a single calm star. Now, at the threshold where night hands you to sleep, let these truths dissolve from thoughts into trust, from ideas into physiology, from teachings into tenderness, so that they move through your breath the way music moves through a room that has grown quiet. Breathe in and feel the simple sweetness of being here. Breathe out and feel the permission to release what cannot be carried into rest. And know that every small kindness you offered yourself tonight has already begun to lean tomorrow toward ease. If you found even a thimble of peace, protect it the way a palm protects a candle in wind, not by tensing but by staying close. If you only met restlessness, bless your effort and let beginning again be enough. And if you drifted somewhere between, trust that the path walks under your feet even when you forget its stones. Because your body remembers the rhythm and your heart remembers the vow. When dawn returns, you can take one soft step, speak one gentle sentence, do one harmless thing, choose 1 inch closer to alignment, and let momentum gather from there, light and human. If these stories and practices have eased your edges, let this be an invitation to keep a small sanctuary in your evenings. Come back whenever the day has been loud and the mind has been brave for too long, and let Buddhism for Sleep cradle you with simple, workable peace. Follow and subscribe so new night journeys can arrive at your door like quiet friends, bringing fresh lanterns, familiar breaths, and the steady reminder that you do not have to do life alone or perfectly to be worthy of rest. For now, set down the last of your trying, feel the bed rise to meet you, and let the night do its ancient work, stitching you back together one gentle breath at a time, until the world is as soft as your exhale and you are carried easily and kindly into sleep.